Well, good morning. Thank you all very much for being here today. SB 813 is a bill that will eliminate the statute of limitation on rape and other sex-related crimes. When I learned late last year that there was an arbitrary 10-year deadline on rape and that victims could not seek justice after 10 years, I felt that this was something that had to be pursued, and you will see we have an amazing coalition of supporters behind me and beside me who have been there every step of the way, and we would not be here today without all of them. SB 813 reinforces California's commitment to citing and standing with victims. This bill does not abolish the very high burden of proof standard. That would still be in place. According to the United States Department of Justice, only 2 in 100 rapists ever serve time. 2 in 100. The other 98% do not serve any time. 813 simply ensures that the door does not slam on the face of victims simply because 10 years have elapsed. And we all know that no one is raped by accident. Rape is a conscious decision by the rapist, and we want to make sure that the victims, the survivors, have every opportunity and the time that they need to come forward. Probably the most amazing and wonderful thing has been that we have had no votes through this whole process. It is passed out of both houses of the legislature unanimously. Myself and Assemblymember Gibson could not be more proud of our colleagues, and we appreciate their support and them standing with victims of rape. So we have quite a few people who want to talk to you today. We're going to start with my principal co-author, which is Assemblymember Mike Gibson. Assemblymember Gibson.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me say good morning to each and every one of you. My name is Mike Gibson. I represent the 64th State Assembly District that is located in Southern California. I want to preference my comments by thanking this amazing and incredible leader, Senator Connie Leyva, for championing this cause, Senate Bill 813. She has certainly been an amazing leader in this regard, a spokesperson for justice. We realize that this bill has gone through its legislative process, and this has been an arduous one. However, it's made it through. Now this bill rests on the desk of this governor, Governor Jerry Brown. And we're here today to simply say, Governor, we need you to affix your signature on this bill in order to bring some closure to the many men and women who have been victimized by rape. We can no longer stand behind the statute of limitation as a means to say that we can no longer reach our goal. As a former police officer, I know that there's a number of crimes like this that goes unreported. And the accused, we want to make sure that those individuals who have done such heinous things are in fact brought to justice. I am happy to stand with Senator Connie Leyva, but also want to speak and also be the voice for the men. About estimated 7% of men are victims of rape. And many of those men, that goes unreported. Why does that go unreported? Because men have been taught, boys have been taught to be men, to be tough. And that's one of the reasons why it goes unreported. And today we're saying that we want anyone that they have been victimized to come up, to step up, and also let your voices be heard. Again, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to stand with all of these courageous survivors who stand here behind me, who have stepped up to the plate and said, no more will we be silent. And we believe in Senate Bill 813, and you will hear from an amazing gentleman who will also share his story in a few moments. So thank you very much for being here. And again, there's one thing I want to leave. Governor Brown, it's time. It's simply time to close the chapter, to make sure that individuals can, one, live knowing that their state in California is standing with them. And we will do everything that we can to bring the individuals who cause rape to justice. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Assembly Member. Now I'd like to introduce Gloria Allred, women's rights attorney and partner with Allred, Marco, and Goldberg. Gloria.
Thank you, Senator Leyva. I'm here in Sacramento today to urge Governor Jerry Brown to sign SB 813 to eliminate the statute of limitations, otherwise known as SOL, for criminal prosecution of rape, sexual assault, and certain other sexual abuse crimes in the state of California. I represent 33 women, some of whom are here today, who have accused Bill Cosby of raping or sexually assaulting them. For almost all of them, wherever the alleged sexual misconduct is said to have taken place, no criminal case will be filed. There are many reasons. In many cases, accusers never filed a police report. In others, prosecutors may not have believed that the available evidence would convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. But for most of these accusations, it was simply too late for a prosecutor to even consider them. That came as shocking news to many of the women who have come forward in recent years. If they were willing to testify under oath before a jury, they want to know why it's too late for a criminal case to be filed. The answer is that California and many other states have a statute of limitations for the prosecution of crimes, including sexual assault and rape. A statute of limitations is a legal deadline before which prosecutors must file a criminal case or be forever prevented from proceeding to prosecute it. A number of the Cosby accusers who allege that Mr. Cosby victimized them in California had no idea that California has an SOL that requires that a criminal case alleging rape or sexual assault must be filed within 10 years unless there's DNA, which may extend it, and that if it's not filed within that time period, it will be too late to ever have it filed, even if a prosecutor wanted to file it. For example, Charlotte Fox, whom I represent, has made a public statement accusing Mr. Cosby of engaging in non-consensual sexual activity with her in Beverly Hills in the 1970s when she was incapacitated. It's too late for her to have a day in California in court under existing law. Judy Huth filed a civil lawsuit in California alleging she was victimized by Cosby in the 1970s when she was 15 years old. I represent her in that case. She is within the existing statute of limitations to litigate a civil case against Mr. Cosby because the lawsuit alleges child sexual abuse. It is, however, too late for a criminal case to be filed in California, even if the prosecutor thought guilt could be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Another Cosby accuser whom I represent, Linda Ridgway White Deer, has alleged that Mr. Cosby violently forced her into a sexual act in Hollywood while interviewing her for a role in a movie in the 1970s. It's too late in California, under existing law, for a prosecutor to even consider filing a case on the facts that she alleges. But she is here with me today supporting SB 813, and she will speak shortly. For constitutional reasons, even if Governor Brown were to sign SB 813 into law, the Justice for Victims Act would not be retroactive. It can't reopen the door to criminal courts that statutes of limitations have already slammed shut. But it will help victims of rape and sexual assault in the future. This morning, within the last hour, I met with advisors to Governor Brown in the governor's office to explain why I believe that Governor Brown should sign this bill into law, and to discuss why rape victims sometimes delay telling anyone about what they have suffered. 16 other states have passed bills similar to SB 813. Signing SB 813 into law in California will help to protect and to empower rape victims. I urge Governor Brown to sign this important bill. If he does sign it, statutes of limitations will no longer be a sexual predator's best friend and a victim's worst enemy. And before I go any further, I would like to show you something that I brought today. and it's called Too Late for Justice. And this is a clock, and some of the accusers who are here today are actually on it. This was the cover of New York Magazine with many of the Cosby accusers on it, all of whom it's too late for them to file any, to go to the police and have a criminal case filed. And from almost all of them, it's also too late for a civil case. I have a quote on here under Mr. Cosby's photo from his then attorney, Monique Presley. In July 31st, 2015, on CNN, Ms. Presley, who's no longer his attorney but was at the time, said the following: Mr. Cosby, as of today, is innocent until proven guilty, and there shall not be proof, because the statute of limitations has passed. End quote. Well, obviously, she was wrong about Pennsylvania, where the criminal case against Mr. Cosby is being heard today. But yes, she was right about any possible criminal case in California. We have to end the statute of limitations. I want to thank Senator Leyva, who has been our hero, who believed in this, who believed in victims' rights, and who has spent countless hours working to get this bill through the legislature. And now we need to ask the governor to sign this bill. This is what we want to do. We want Governor Brown, please sign SB 813 so that we'll never have to say again that it's too late for justice for people who say they are rape and sexual assault victims. Thank you very much.
This is Linda, who Gloria Allred referred to. Linda, please step right up. Welcome. We're very happy to have you with us today. You're very welcome. Thank you.
Hello. In the very, oh boy. In the very early 70s, the William Morris Agency submitted me for one of my first film roles. When I arrived at the studio for my audition, I was greeted by Bill Cosby. He pointed over to the director, who waved to us, and said, "He's in the middle of a take, so I will interview you, and we can use the director's office." When he opened the office door, there was an office chair that had rollers facing the door, right in the way so I couldn't pass. He seemed to be in a hurry all of a sudden, and making a grand gesture with his right arm, he said, "Have a seat." So I plopped down and became preoccupied with positioning my purse on my lap, and while still clutching the handle of my portfolio, was trying to grasp the handles of the chair. My eyes were still focused downward as I was about to swirl the chair to the right and use my feet to simply walk the chair over to the desk so I could read for the part. I never got to move the chair. By the time I looked up, somehow Cosby's right hand grabbed me by my hair at the back of my neck as the sexual assault began. He had surprise on his side. All I had on my side was shock, followed by a sickening humiliation that he gloated over. He had planned it. I didn't have a chance. This is beyond physical injury. You can't stitch this up and put a Band-Aid on it. I didn't report the assault because I was afraid of what might happen to me if I did go to law enforcement at that time. My presence here today is to show my appreciation to all of those who managed to get this bill to pass unanimously and in such a timely manner for future generations. Hopefully, it will be a deterrent. I support SB 813 and hope that Governor Jerry Brown Jr. will sign this bill so that victims in California will finally have ample time to come forward so they won't be emotionally destroyed in the legal process. Thank you.
Nice job, Linda. Nice job. Nice job. Norma, I saw you earlier. Where are you? Come right on up here, please. Norma is with End Rape SOL. Thank you, Norma.
Hello, my name is Norma Hernandez. I am speaking on behalf of the End the Rape Statute of Limitation campaign. We are a grassroots campaign working to get rid of the time limit prosecuting rape in California. I had lived in California my whole life. When I was 13 years old, a man who said he knew a close family friend offered to give me a ride home from the corner store. I trusted him. Was soon terrified by my life when he drove me away from my home to a grove of almond trees and held me down and raped me. I screamed and fought back, and he told me. I told him no, but no one heard my cries. Like so many rape survivors, I blame myself. I didn't tell anyone because I was afraid they wouldn't believe me. Later, I found out that my rapist had been released from jail for raping another girl just a few months before he raped me. When I found out I was pregnant from my rape, I was devastated. When my son was a year old, my mother filed child support. The court ordered 2 DNA tests proving that the rapist was the father. But the judge did not arrest him, even though he was a grown man and I was a child. After that experience, I attempted suicide. I was still barely a teenager. I suffered in silence for years. But one day I looked into my daughter's eyes and I knew I had to report it. The police and the prosecutor told me, though I have enough DNA evidence, there was nothing they could do because I didn't come forward sooner. Governor Brown, as a mother, I urge you to sign this law so that all of our daughters and sons can get justice whenever they find courage to come forward. I don't want anyone else to suffer like I have suffered. Thank you.
Great job. Great job. We know that 1 in 6 women will have an attempted or completed rape in their lifetime. We also know that 1 in 33 men will have an attempted or completed rape in their lifetime. With us today is Jace Barron, an alleged sexual assault victim who will talk to you about his experience.
Thank you so much. My name is Jace Barron. I'm the creative director of Advocacy National Networks, but today I come to you as a fellow Californian and brother. Last year, I was raped. I was hanging out with this individual, and I was drugged. And I woke up on my stomach in his bed with no recollection of how I got there, with him and me. At the time, I didn't really know how to process that. I thought it was my fault. You know, as men, I never got pepper sprayed from my dad. My sister did, but I didn't. We're not really socialized to be equipped to deal with these type of situations mentally. It wasn't until it was thrown into my face by someone I told personally months later that I was even able to mention the word rape and kind of deal with it. I sought therapy, and I got the help that I needed. But it wasn't until last week when I went public with it. I wrote an article on HIV Equal online, and it went viral completely. And my emails are completely flooded with individuals from all over the world with stories. And I've responded to every single one of those emails, and it's crazy to me, like as a man, apparently I was on a fast track. It took me 6 months to kind of deal with it, and then a year to kind of go public with it and speak out upon it. But there's been people who are suppressing these stories that we all could relate to for years. A man said he has not addressed it in 20 plus years, men and women. My body, the only gift that God gave me, as well, you could take my material things, you could take my car, everything like that, but my body is a gift from God that I got at birth, and that was violated. And it's happening more often than usual, and especially in men, because we're not willing to talk about it. I'm willing to talk about it. It's still touchy to me. I'm still kind of coping and dealing with it emotionally, but if my story could help so many other people get the courage and the bravery to speak out, then that's all that really matters to me. Thank you guys for coming out today. Thank you for having me. Governor, you know what to do. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you, Jace. Great job. When I first learned there was no statute of limitation, the first person that I called was District Attorney Michael Ramos from San Bernardino County and asked him if he thought this was something that was needed. And he said, absolutely. District Attorney Ramos.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Thank you, and thank you, team, for being here today. I don't need to tell you about the impact on the victims. You've heard it here firsthand. As the elected district attorney in 4 terms and as a trial lawyer, I saw firsthand the tragedy that occurs in these horrendous violent crimes, and that's what we're talking about here. So this state of California needs to step up to the plate. Also, as president of the National DA's Association, this is a huge issue in the United States of America on college campuses, on cases that we read about every day. Thank God that these victims from the Cosby case came out together to be strong because it allowed others to come out. And there are others. There are others besides the Cosby case, but they are really the leaders in this. There's a case in my county, San Bernardino County, and I'm not going to give her name because she's a victim. And she finally came to us and said, I want to report this rape. And we had the evidence, but we couldn't because of the statute of limitations. Well, people were saying, well, why didn't she report it before? Why? Many factors, and you've heard it. They feel victimized all over again. They feel shame, even though it's not their fault. They're victims. They don't feel like they have a support system, even in our world, law and justice. We need to change that, and we need to change it now. Now, people are going to say, well, then how many people? We're going to be putting people in prison. No, we DAs still have the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. That doesn't change anything. We're going to look at the facts and evidence like any other case, but at least give us the opportunity without shutting the door in the face of a victim, without even have that opportunity to look at the facts and the evidence. Give us that. That's all we're asking. Now, I will say this to Governor Brown. Governor Brown and I, we get along. We disagree on certain issues. But I was at the table with Governor Brown as president of the California DA's Association when he pushed AB 109. okay, realignment bill. And I got us to stay neutral because he talked about non-violent, non-serious, non-sex crimes that would be housed locally. Governor Brown, you would agree with me on this, and you have. Violent sexual predators should be held responsible. Yes. And that's what we are asking you to do. If you stick to your word and what you're telling these citizens of the state of California with AB 109 and your current proposition, you should, in good conscience, sign this bill. You should, for the victims and for the citizens of the state of California. Finally, we need to get rid of the statute of limitations, because what is it doing? It's protecting the sexual violent predators who are raping, and some of them are serial rapists as we speak. So as this DA and as part of this team, I'm going to keep fighting here in the state of California and across this beautiful country of ours for victims' rights. Thank you.
And the woman who made the phone call and brought this to my attention, the executive director of the California Women's Law Center, Betsy Butler.
Good morning, everyone. I am Betsy Butler, the executive director of the California Women's Law Center, and for over 30 years, we have been pursuing justice for women and girls. So first and foremost, I want to congratulate and thank all the courageous victims who have come forward, and to Senator Leyva for her courage and her commitment to this bill, because we have looked at this issue over a number of decades, and there have been bills addressing it head on and parts of it, and the fact of the matter is that the time is now. We know that in this state and in this country, we're having a very big dialogue about rape culture and who deserves justice. I believe that victims of rape deserve justice in this state and in every state across the country. So Governor Brown, the time is now. As the senator mentioned, rape is not an accident. These are repeat offenders. We deal with people who, at the Law Center, who are predators, and we deal with a lot of campus sexual assault and a lot of women who have been raped in their homes by their spouses. So this is a bill that is long overdue. It's way past the justice and fairness that is due the victims, and I just want to thank again all of the survivors, the victims, the activists, and Senator Leyva for bringing forward this bill. Thank you.
So with that, we will thank all of you for attending today. Thank again everyone. This has been a coalition. It's always about teamwork. It's about moving the ball forward together. Governor, the ball is in your court. We know you want to do the right thing, and we know you want to sign this law. With that, I would like to open it up for any questions anyone might have of anyone who's up here.
Senator Leyva, I have a question.
Yes.
You guys sort of spoke to this. But given the governor's move lately and the federal court order California is under to reduce our prison population, do you think that this bill comes at kind of a hard time for him to sign it? I mean, it's about effectively putting more people in jail and prison, and we're trying to get people out.
Yeah, absolutely not. I don't think you can ever say that there's a wrong time to put a criminal in prison. I don't care how many people are in our jails. If someone has committed a crime, especially a crime as violent as rape, they should be prosecuted and they should be put in jail if they are found guilty.
Hear, hear.
Anything else?
Well, when is the deadline for signing this bill?
September 30th, but he could do it today if he wanted to.
We encourage it.
We're okay with that. All right. Thank you all very much for being here, and thank you all to everyone, especially our ladies and gentlemen.